Hello. You know what I noticed? There's not a lot of, real popular musicians or music player or, technically speaking, artists, which I don't know why they still call them that. Get on. Move on. It's not 2016 anymore, bro. Okay? You have to realize that. It's insert current year. Okay? Alright. And one of my biggest problems with music is, on the most mainstream, mainstream big time end, you have musicianists, you have music players that are, on the shelf for too long. You know what I mean? They get too many trophies. That's one. They are on that hot Billboard 100 and stuff like that, or the equivalent of it in your country / nation, whatever it may be. Your country / nation, excuse me. Okay, that hot Billboard 100, yeah, because of stuff like you can stream songs, I guess. So because of how the industry works, which they really should have a rating system, for music, but whatever. Anyway, if you ask me, it's kind of suspicious that there are songs that could be on there for literally months and months on end and just nobody notices, you could literally have a song on there that's for 1 or 2 years probably, and the only people who would notice are hardcore music fans, and even then, it probably wouldn't get known about for a long time, And it's kind of disappointing when a lot of the songs that are on the top Billboard 100 don't even really deserve to be on there, or don't even really deserve to be on there for that long anyway. Don't get me wrong. If you have a particular song that hit number 1 on the hot Billboard 100 or whatever, that's fine. If you like the most popular song, that's fine. I get it. But it's not meant to be on there longer than a week. You know what I mean? There's a reason why it's a weekly thing, because they're telling you what's the current thing of this week, or whatever. I don't know what else to tell you, and it should be based off of songs that are released in that week, And they should really make a system where if a song lasts more than 2 weeks, they have to take it off the list, They have to just boop, gone, because yeah, it's good or whatever, but you you need new songs, because you can only last for so long with that one-hit wonder from 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the hot songs right now are not actually new. They're literally just that song from literally decades or even centuries ago that came out obviously a long time ago, by a one-hit wonder where that was either their only song or just generally their most popular song, at least modern day. And so because of it, there's no other songs that you might know them for. And when it comes to, back in the olden days, if you had a one-hit wonder, you could make an entire career off a one-hit wonder. Whereas now, it's yeah, you could do that, but what's most likely going to happen is they're going to be long gone and forgotten very quickly, the fall off, as soon as it hits the height of its popularity, it will just disappear, And sometimes the song isn't even on the internet no more, or at least not on the mainstream platforms that it would have originally been on, like Spotify or YouTube or something, because of copyright or whatever, that kind of thing. And it makes it so hard for newer music because when a newer music is, say, for example, not a country song or not a rap song, it makes it very hard because, one, those two genres are really popular, and two, if they are a new song from those genres, it's just going to be like that same guy or same lady who's been making music for years and years and years, that kind of thing, or it's from an industry plant, or it's from, like, just somebody who makes slop music, that kind of thing. Because at least with the AI, you can at least be like, oh yeah, it's slop or whatever, but at least you can admit that they can go to other genres of music and not just country or rap, because we're in a transition phase, so because of it, a lot of, sort of rap music, but a lot of country music as well, are really starting to just, like they're getting intermixed with other styles of music. And it may seem like a very country-style time to be alive. Not really, okay? Like, I don't listen to country. I don't like country. I don't understand why it's getting popular again. Like, I thought we would move on from this. Like, I thought we would. And then I realized, we are moving on from this. It's in the last phases of this. When a genre is about to die out, but it's still, like, semi-popular? That's what country is. It's a genre that is about to die out, at least in the height of the pop culture mainstream. Now, don't get me wrong. There will always be, like, a mainstream version of country that exists somewhere. Because it's country, there's always going to be some, like, weird badangy dough guy that actually lives in the city that likes that kind of music, Like, it's so irony. Like, the irony of modern country is so funny, because it's basically just, it's literally just modern rap music. Like, it's literally just the same thing, basically, but for people who live on the countryside, so to speak, or metaphorically, like, I live in the countryside. Yeah, I live in the remote, rural, countryside, small town, for sure. And it's in a specific area in the woods. Trust me, bro. I don't live in fucking Detroit. I don't live in fucking New York City, which they probably do. I don't live in LA, which they probably do. Like, they'll be bringing about, oh yeah, I live in this and none of that. Like, no. And then the rap music, they actually do live in the city, but the only major difference is you go from redneck to like thug or pimp. Like, it's basically just, again, the same thing, different genre. Like, all you have to do is just change the theme, change the font on the person. No offense if you like that kind of music, but, like, you get the idea of how it, like, the modern version of it, Because if you look back even, like, 10, 20, 30 years ago, there was at least some difference to say, hey, this was actually a different genre. Back when it was just, say, like, like blues or hip-hop, things like that. Because I want to say ever since the 1990s, that's when they really started to get similar. But it wasn't really until, like, the late 2010s that music like that just really, really became the same. Now, it may depend on the individual musician or the individual music maker, that kind of thing, of how, because it could be way earlier for them, individually speaking, but I mean as a genre, that kind of thing. And then there's also stuff like EDM, there's stuff like rock, there's stuff like pop, but pop, it peaked in the 80s, so to speak, that kind of thing. Like, there's a reason why Rick Astley is known as, like, the biggest one-hit wonder to ever one-hit wonder, Like, that's what he's got. That kind of thing. And it's got, like, 2.2 billion views on the YouTubes, And that's how that works. And then there's obviously one-album wonders, like Maroon 5, like, they have that one particular album, and that's pretty much it. And I don't even remember the name currently, but I know it has, like, I think it was, like, what? It shows, like, Pandora's Box on it, or something, where it's, like, some weird, like, pink-looking lady on it, like a painting. I don't know how to explain it, but I think you probably get the idea if you look for it, But yeah, they flopped. They do make occasional good songs or whatever. And then there were, one era wonders where it was like they were popular for a specific period in time, but they're just no longer popular anymore. Like the Beatles is a big one. They were only really at their height during Beatlemania, which only really lasted for like 3 or 4 years, like that's basically how it was. And then there was the Jonas Brothers. They lasted, I want to say, a bit longer, but once they fell off hard. They didn't come back until like 2019, and even then, they're only just now starting to come back into popularity, that kind of thing. And then there was Big Time Rush. Ooh, yeah, they hit it hard. Like, once those guys fell off, they hit it hard. And then there was what? Oh, yeah, One Direction. Like, they were very, like, don't get me wrong, they had songs that were really popular at their height or whatever, but it was like, once that band ended, it never became the same, I want to say the spark mostly, like, it was semi there, but it mostly died off when that guy fell off that cliff. He went in One Direction. Okay, like, when that guy fell off that balcony, that was the last of their true cultural relevancy. Because once they start dying off, they're either the most famous they've ever known, or they're just completely culturally almost irrelevant, And I'm not saying that guy falling off was a good thing. No, not really. Like, that was an accident. That shouldn't have happened. His death was not, good. So, there's that kind of thing. But what I am saying is it's just like, you have no idea how annoying it was when all the little girls were like, the One Direction. Like, it was very annoying. It was very annoying, And they were all my generation, too. Most of them. They were, like, either little girls, or if they were adult women, they were, like, millennials, kind of. But generally speaking, it was my generation at the time. And it was a lot different, okay? And then there was Justin Bieber. He's still around. He's still pretty popular. But that's just because his one particular song got so hated on back in the day. I literally remember it. I was like 4 when that happened. I'm not kidding you. I was like 3 or 4 when that happened. And I still remember it. Ain't that crazy? Because people just hated on it so much. Like, that's how I learned certain things, about the internet eventually, as I eventually went on to use the internet. But I was like 3 or 4 at the time, so it didn't really matter as much. At least not for me, you know? But, man, music really did fall off, you know? And then there was the Gangnam Style guy, and then there was the, you know, obviously Eminem with his Rap God, but he's not a one-hit wonder, though. He's not a one-hit wonder, though. He's a poppin' and bippin' guy, you know? He was born in, what, 1972? You know? He what you call a special fella, you know? That kind of thing. He a special fella. He a fella from a while ago, okay? He grew up in the 80s, I guess. So, you know, who would have thought, you know? Or whatever, you know? I tell you something. I'm not in my 20s yet, but I will be in this year. I'll be turning 20. And guess what? There's nothing you can do about it. You know? And I be living my life. You know? I spawned in before you did, probably. So, given my audience, you probably either spawned in earlier before me or after me. Okay? Because that's generally where it is. Because my age range, for some reason, is between, like, 13 to 44 years old. I don't know. Allegedly, there was, like, people who were under 18 watching my videos. Allegedly. Okay? Like, I'm not 100% confirmed on that, though. Okay? It was probably just a bunch of people scrolling past my channel, okay? But most people who are subscribed or who are, you know, watching my videos in general, they're like in their 20s or 30s, that kind of thing. Or maybe they're late teens, but I don't know about them 13 though. I don't know about that, because that's a little questionable. I'm just saying. Okay? I'm just saying. I'm not gonna be lying. I'm not a pedophile. Okay? Alright? Because my videos are mostly aimed around adults anyway. I mean, yeah, I do make video gaming stuff, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's for children. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think most children should be playing Dead Be the Fallen. You know? I mean, they could, but it's like, you know, like, why would you want to do that? 'Cause they got the vampire stuff, they got the blood, they got the fucking, you know? Like, that's gonna get in your head. But to be fair, there are a lot of children that do play that indie horror stuff, or get into horror stuff in general. But it's like, that's the spooky stuff. Besides the Halloween, you have no excuses, okay? You literally have no excuses. Literally. And what's this all have to do with music? Absolutely nothing, I assume. But yeah. Yeah.